My definition of a stereotype is whenever you go and you look at someone and just off like their physical features or the way they talk or the people they hang out with, you make a description of them and make them fit into some type of group.
My definition of a stereotype is some oversimplified or generalized idea about something or someone.
I think a stereotype is when you judge somebody off of stuff that you really don't know about them. It's just like their appearance to you is, you just judge it.
Erroneous thinking about a group of people or about a thing. It's not really based on substance.
People will assume that you're good at something or you're bad at something based on who you are, right? So as a black male, people might look at me and they assume I can dance, and I am a terrible dancer.
A stereotype, I guess, are characteristics that people, or opinions that someone forms about another group of people without really knowing, I guess, a lot of information.
I think people stereotype for a variety of reasons, some conscious, some unconscious. I think some people do it unconsciously as a mental shortcut.
I think humans stereotype because it's easy. It's really simple to actually just look at someone and be like, oh, you belong with that person over there, go over there.
It's one of those things where, I think people do it to make things simpler, and I think a lot of times it makes things worse.
Yeah, I'm sure I have, somewhere along the line. So, it's just easy to do it. I think sometimes we do, innocently without really knowing that we're doing it.
If, an Asian kid walks in the classroom and you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna go sit next to him, I'm gonna be friends with him because he's gonna have all the answers.
I actually stereotyped this girl at the beginning of the year. She was really tall, and I just assumed she was a star basketball player just because of her height, but it turns out she has no type of connection with any sports.
Sometimes along gender lines, I'd say maybe with behavior. I've certainly stereotyped, that, oh, girls are sometimes easier, they behave better in class, they're more likely to sit, that kind of stereotype, and I've had to check myself.
A kid I met once, he talked really slow, and I don't know actually why he talked slow, maybe some kind of mental issue, but I automatically thought he had he was stupid or something. But it turned out he's really smart, one of the smartest guys I know. My
philosophy's always been that you never judge a book by its cover. It's convenient for people to make those kind of judgments and stereotypes. I've never found it useful.
I think students stereotype each other based on a lack of knowledge, just based off of rumors they may hear or images they see on television.
You're just kind of glancing at the news and you hear about someone being shot and they throw a picture of a black male on the screen, you're going to think, oh, black men are robbing people. Or if there was a meth lab that got busted and they put a picture of a white guy on there, you're going to think, oh man, white people are just cooking up meth all the time. When you're not familiar with other people, the first thing you do is kind of stereotype, right?
If people judge Steel Valley based on what they read in the paper or other things like that, they'd be making a big mistake.
I think the reason why people stereotype is they're scared of change. They're scared of something that may be different than what they are used to.
I think the best analogy would be how kryptonite affects Superman, that it can, hinder them from performing.
They always affect them in bad ways. They always make people think down on themselves. If you're thrown into a stereotype and that's not you, you instantly think that, oh, well, maybe that is me.
I'm pretty sure I've been stereotyped just from past shopping experiences. If you go to a big store, I'm black, you might get followed around. I know it's a stereotype, we might steal or something.
In college, my major was industrial biochemistry, and I was the only African American. Very few women it is, but actually I was a lab assistant. And for me to be a lab assistant, that's someone who's responsible for setting up the labs and knowing what's going on. But I was always the last person chosen to be a lab partner until everyone would see me after hours preparing for labs and automatically the next day, well, do you want to work with me?
I always get that notation where oh, just because I'm blonde, it means I'm ditzy. What does hair color have to do with how smart you are?
People would think I couldn't run fast, but when we went in the gym and we did relay races, I would just start running really fast, and then I would beat half of the boys on the team.
I went to school in Florida and I'm from South Carolina, and I would drive back and forth to school, and literally every other time I went back and forth, I got stopped by the police. And it got to be really routine for me. Like, I came to expect it. Like, I was surprised when I got to South Carolina from Florida and I didn't get stopped by the police.
There's something called stereotype threat, where people who belong to a particular group actually respond to other people's expectations of that group. But this is the idea that when somebody thinks that their group, whatever that group may be, whether it be by race or gender, is meant to perform a certain way, and that idea is primed or brought up to them, they actually perform according to the stereotypes.
Part of the point of school is to expose kids to as much outside of their world as you possibly can, so that they can expand their idea of what they can be and where they can go in life.
I make it a point to not judge at first glance, because I have met so many wonderful people that are not from where I'm from that I've learned so much from.
I think the best way to go about doing it is, really trying to push the idea that, like, not to judge a book by its cover. Get people out there, make people more social. Your future best friend could be somebody you might not think you like just by the way they appear. I know that's happened to me before a few times. A couple of my good friends now. At first I didn't really think I'd get along with them, and here we are now, like in high school, best buds.
Start off by raising awareness about knowing that you do it, not just don't brush it under the carpet like, oh, I don't do that. Find a role model, someone that breaks that stereotype that you're being fit into.
I think it's hugely important to raise awareness of stereotyping in school settings, because I do think that stereotyping can frequently be unconscious, because we know it can have negative effects on student performance and student achievement. It's critical for teachers, leadership, anybody that works with students, the students themselves, to understand that even by introducing a math problem in a particular way, you may actually be, encouraging certain students to do well and other students to not do well.
When you, as a teacher, you take advantage of using that moment where the stereotype presents itself in the classroom as, like I would call, a teachable moment.
I love talking about holidays, because even though we are all part of the Steel Valley community, everyone's house is different. So something as small as a conversation is, what do you guys plan on having for Thanksgiving? Brings up a lot of different conversations, and just because you live next door to someone doesn't mean you celebrate Thanksgiving the same exact way. So just open conversations as much as possible.
I don't like stereotypes, but I do like the conversations that we engage in because we expose stereotypes.
I want to live in a safe environment, a good environment, a happy environment, an environment where people can walk down the hallways without being judged, where you can just be yourself and you wouldn't have to fit into a category or a stereotype.
I am an athlete. I am small. I have dreams that are bigger than me.
I am bright and I am a voice for others.
Strong, beautiful, talented. Your words can never define me.
I am brave and intelligent. I don't read for the fun of it.
I am smart and successful. I am strong.
Tell me I'm beautiful or prototype. It's that day and age we should get it right.
She plays no games, gets the job done, and goes to school, and yes, gets straight A's.
I am a beautiful individual that do not want to be seen through the lens of social media's visual.
I want to go to college. I want to be a lawyer. I'm not a stupid blonde.
Don't tell me the sky's the limit when there's footprints on the moon.
So do not judge a book by its cover. Let's take some time and get to know each other.
I am who I am, not who you want me to be.